Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wondered how some people seem to just have a natural knack for finding their way, even in the most confusing places? Well, today we're diving deep into something truly wild. Imagine a race so tough, so baffling, that most people who attempt it don't even come close to finishing. We're talking about the Barkley Marathons, a race known for its insane physical demands, but also for its mind-bending navigational challenges. No GPS, no fancy gadgets, just you. A basic map, a compass, and the wild. Researchers wanted to know how on earth do people even start to navigate this beast? So, how do these super athletes conquer the Barkley Marathons? It turns out it is not just about running power, but a whole lot of smarts about how we find our way. The scientists in the study were super curious about this extreme example of navigation. They looked at 8 different race reports that runners had shared online, and they also talked to 3 runners who had actually competed in the Barkley Marathons. Basically, they gathered stories and experiences to piece together the puzzle. What did they discover? A few key things kept popping up. First, navigation isn't just about looking at a map. It is deeply connected to the actual place you are in, the environment itself. Second, it involves other people and the specific demands of the race. Think about it. The wilderness itself gives you clues. A distinctive rock formation, the way a stream flows, even the sound of something can guide you. The environment offers opportunities, and runners learn to spot and use them. This is a really cool part. Runners don't just see landmarks, they sense them. Because the Barkley course is often through thick forests or in fog, relying only on sight is tough. So, people start using other senses. They might hear a stream, smell something distinctive like a coal pond, or even feel the ground under their feet. It's like they're building a multi-sensory map in their heads and in their bodies. And then there are the rules, or rather the lack of them. The Barkley Marathons has this set of unspoken rules that you learn as you go. You can't just go out and practice the course beforehand without risking being banned. You have to figure things out, and even how you share information with other runners is a kind of unwritten rule. It is not a free-for-all, but it is definitely not straightforward. Now, here is where it gets even more interesting. The researchers argue that even though the Barkley Marathons is super extreme, the way people navigate it actually teaches us a lot about how we navigate our everyday lives. We just don't usually pay that much attention to the details. Think about walking to your local coffee shop. You probably don't consciously think about every single turn or landmark. You just do it. But the Barkley Marathons forces you to be intensely aware of every single detail. And by studying that, we can learn what we unconsciously do every day. So, what does this all mean? It means that when we think about how people find their way, we need to look beyond just what is going on in their heads. We need to consider how their bodies are involved, how the environment shapes their actions, who they're with, and the cultural rules they're following. It's a much more holistic picture. Let's dig into some of the specifics they found. One of the first things runners have to do is learn the unique rules of Barkley. And many of these rules aren't written down. For example, you can't practice the course beforehand. This is a big deal because it means you can't just go scout out the terrain. You have to learn as you go, and that requires a different kind of mental preparation. This quote really highlights the paradox. You have to follow the course, but it is not marked. So how do you know if you are following it? This is where that intense observation and deduction comes in. This shows how runners try to recreate the challenging navigation in their training. They're not just running long distances, they're practicing specific navigational strategies and facing similar constraints, even if it is in a backyard. This speaks to the social aspect of navigation at Barkley. Knowledge and resources, like a well-marked map, aren't just handed out. You have to contribute and earn trust within the group. It is teamwork, but it's a specific kind of teamwork. The study emphasized that learning the course isn't passive. You have to be physically and mentally involved. This is a fundamental truth in learning any complex skill, especially navigation. You can read all the books you want, but until you're out there actively making decisions and experiencing the consequences, you're not truly learning. Simply following someone else won't etch the route into your memory as effectively as making the navigational choices yourself. The researchers found that leaders, those making the decisions, learned more. This is a direct quote from one of the race reports. It's a simple but powerful statement that reinforces the idea that active participation in the decision-making process is crucial for learning and retention. This was one of the most fascinating findings. Runners weren't just using their eyes. Because the terrain is so dense and often obscured, visual landmarks aren't always reliable or visible from afar. This forces a reliance on other sensory inputs. Weather conditions like fog can completely wipe out visual cues. This is where other senses become vital. These are examples of non-visual cues. The sound of water or a distinct smell can become just as important, if not more important, than seeing a particular tree. These are what researchers call multimodal cues. The race has a unique rule. Loops are run in alternating directions. This makes learning the course much harder. This is a critical point. Knowing a path one way doesn't automatically mean you can navigate it perfectly in reverse. You have to learn a whole new set of visual and environmental cues. This perfectly illustrates the problem. A landmark that signals a turn when going uphill might be irrelevant or misleading when descending. You have to adapt your perspective. Teamwork is essential, but it's not always simple. This quote shows good teamwork in action. It is about shared responsibility and open communication. Everyone is encouraged to contribute and question, ensuring the group stays on track. A simple and effective way to describe the benefit of having multiple people looking out for navigational errors. This is a unique challenge. Instead of clear signs, runners have to find hidden books and take a specific page. This can be time-consuming and error-prone. This shows a strategic approach to searching. Instead of randomly looking, a systematic search, even if it takes some time, guarantees that the book will eventually be found, saving potentially much more time compared to a prolonged, unfocused search. This highlights the high stakes. Small delays add up, and losing minutes searching for a book can mean not finishing the race at all. This motivates teamwork to speed up the search. Getting lost is practically inevitable. The key is how you recover. This is a crucial takeaway. Navigation isn't about never making a mistake. It is about having the skills to recover from them. It is a problem-solving process. When lost, runners have to use their tools and their knowledge of the environment to figure out their current location and the best way back to the intended route. It is a process of deduction. This is a beautiful example of using environmental knowledge to correct a mistake. They didn't just panic, they reasoned about their likely location based on the terrain and used that to find their way back. The researchers themselves acknowledge a key strength of their work. Much navigation research is done in labs, which doesn't always capture the messy reality of real-world navigation. By looking at real race experiences, they got a richer, more authentic picture. They also point out limitations. They suggest that actually going out into the course and observing runners firsthand, kind of like an anthropologist, would provide even more detail. And they also want to see if these findings about multimodal cues, teamwork, and learning from mistakes apply to everyday places like shopping malls or navigating a new city. So, what is the big picture here? While Barkley is certainly unique, the way people navigated is a real-world test of fundamental principles of navigation. The core message is that navigation isn't an isolated mental process. It is a dance between you, your body, the place you are in, the people around you, and the unwritten rules you've learned. This is a revolution in how we think about landmarks. They aren't just things you see, they are signals from multiple senses, and their usefulness depends on the situation. A sound can be a landmark just as much as a tree. This study is a call to action for researchers. Stop just thinking about what's happening inside people's heads. Look at the whole picture, the body, the environment, the social context. All of it working together. It's about understanding navigation as a lived, dynamic experience. Ultimately, this research into the Barkley Marathons, with all its extreme challenges, reminds us that finding our way is a deeply human, multi-faceted activity. It's about more than just knowing north from south. It's about paying attention to the world around us, working with others, and adapting to whatever the path or the wilderness throws at us. It's a powerful lesson that applies not just to elite runners, but to all of us, every single day. What do you think about using all your senses to navigate? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more explorations into the fascinating world of psychology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.